Hello and welcome to Junk Journal July for 2023. My name's Leigh. I'm from Australia, and during the month of July I'm going to create something in my little accordion journal using the prompts provided. These are going to be quick projects that I hope will motivate and inspire you to do something in your own journal every day. This is an open challenge hosted by Meg from Meg Journals. If you want to join in the fun, the prompts are available from Meg's channel. There's a link in my video description box. Okay, let's see what today's prompt is and get creative. Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today. I'm so glad you're here again. This one for day 6 is called Layers on Layers, and as you can see I'm actually tearing the layers that are already on my page. I had made this page and I didn't like it. It was too bulky and clumsy. I decided to pull everything off and start again. Now, if you ever wondered about how permanent glue stick is, have a look. Not very permanent. It only required the slightest amount of pressure to be able to peel everything off that page. Pretty much the whole lot came off. Alright, so what I've decided to do is to give this page a fresh start, and I'm lightly covering it, dry brushing on some gesso. So I want to dry the gesso off and then I can start fresh. So I thought I'd just write that on the page with this pen. So I wrote, there are times when the layers must be removed so that a fresh start can be made possible. What I didn't realize was that this pen wasn't waterproof, so I couldn't put anything over the top of it. I found out before I started adding extra stuff, but yeah, after I'd written it. So I'm very gingerly going around that writing with some watercolor. Now I believe that is something like burnt sienna that I'm putting on there. It's mixing with a few other colors that are already on my palette though. But basically it's burnt sienna. So I'm just going to put that around my writing and then add on a couple of other things. I've got something in mind for what I'm doing with this one. I feel a bit like I'm traveling back in time because the original page I had filmed probably about 2 weeks ago, so that's why I've got the prompt list covering the next page. I don't want to give away what's coming up tomorrow. I die cut some flowers and I'm going to use one of the pieces, the negative space I guess it is that's left behind on the paper, to just spread a little bit of gesso on there, and then I'm going to layer the the flower that came out of it on top of the gesso, but offset it a little bit, which you'll see in a little while. So this paper doesn't make the greatest stencil, and the gesso is super thick when I pull it up, and it does take a bit to get it dry, so it's more like modelling paste than gesso at the moment. But anyway, I managed to get that dry and add a couple more things on there. And I do eventually rewrite the phrase that I put on there, and I use a permanent pen to do that. Now, I thought it would be a good idea to use this mask to put a butterfly onto this page, a subtle butterfly, and I can tell you it is a very, very subtle butterfly because this mask doesn't work very well with watercolor. I'm trying to use it as a stencil, and it is really a mask to be used on the gel plate. But you can sort of see that there's a butterfly there in the end. He's missing one of his antennas too. He's had hard light, this butterfly. So I thought, you can't see the body. I'll just try and paint a body in here, and hopefully it'll look more like a butterfly. but it doesn't. It just looks like a pattern, but it's still pretty. I like it. Hey, thanks everyone for subscribing. If you were a new subscriber, really appreciate that you've actually subscribed to my channel. Because before this challenge started, I was just under 3,000 subscribers, and now I've got 3,150 or something like that. So as I say, this original video was filmed a couple of weeks ago, and you might find that in my next video I might be talking about nearly being at 3,000 because it was filmed earlier on, well before I got to 3,000. So yeah. So if you're seeing that and you're confused, well, you're no more confused than I am, because my whole life is just confusion at the moment. Now, I was asked a couple of days ago why I use gesso instead of acrylic paint. Well, gesso is basically like an undercoat, so it will receive anything that you put on top of it, such as ink and glue. Acrylic paint is pretty much liquid plastic that's been coloured. So it sets with a plastic film and it won't let anything absorb into it. Gesso doesn't have a shine, and acrylic paint does dry slightly shining, and it will dry really shiny if you put medium into it. So I hope that answers the question about why I use the gesso. So I've just taken a bit of the stem off this flower, and I'm using my art glitter glue to glue this on, because it's going on over the top of that gessoed flower, and glue stick, there's no way in the world that it's going to stick that on, as you would have seen from how easily I was able to remove the original collage that was on the page. So I'm just going to pop this on over the top of the gesso, and I want the gesso to be seen, so I'm going to offset it a little bit. I will rewrite. Here I go. This is a permanent marker this time, so it's got a thickened nib, so I'm going to rewrite my phrase over the top of the original one. I will go around the edge of the page with my Stabilo pencil, and I'm also going to add some gold watercolor splatters. Once again, thank you to all my new subscribers, but a really, really big thank you to my current subscribers, ones that have been with me, since the beginning. Really appreciate you. You wouldn't, it's really hard to put into words how grateful I am that you are subscribed and that you watch my videos, leave your lovely comments, and like my videos all the time. It's great to see all that positive feedback. So I did say I will have a giveaway for my 3,000 subscribers. I haven't thought what I'm going to do yet and how I'm going to arrange that, but stay tuned. So I've got one of my gold watercolor pans here, and I'm going to splatter a bit of the gold around and run the gold around the edge of the paper as well before I apply the Stabilo onto it. I love Stabilo. It's like magic. It's better than a watercolor pencil, or I think it is anyway. I just love it when you draw on your page and then you apply that little bit of water and it's magic. It just blooms. It's adorable. I love it. It makes such a difference to the page too, having the border around it on the edge. I don't know what it is about it. It just elevates the page, makes it look like a finished product in some respect, I think. So I'm just going to get a little paintbrush and then dampen it and take it over the Stabilo pencil, and you can see what happens when you add water to that. It just, yeah, I love it. I can't sound like I'm a nitwit saying this all the time, but I think it's like magic. It's just gorgeous. With the residual pencil that's in the brush there, I'm just going to put a little bit of a drop shadow on that flower. And then I think I'm going to be brave and I'll write the number for the day, which is number 6, on the page with the paintbrush, and see whether I can actually make it look good. I couldn't, so I got the pencil and I went over it, and then I wrote the prompt as well, and then very, very carefully with a tiny little paintbrush dampen those letters. There's only the tiniest amount of moisture in the paintbrush when I do that. Don't want it to be wet because it'll just smudge everywhere. But it turned out okay. I was quite happy with it. Let me know what you think of it. So here's my finished page, my layers on layers. So I stripped off all my layers to start with, and then I put other layers on to create a new page for day 6. So thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget to leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you for day 7. Cheers from Australia. Hooroo.